How's it going, everybody? Today I'm going to be reviewing Game of Thrones Season 7, Episode 4, The Spoils of War. Spoilers for the episode. If you've not seen it, go watch the episode, then come back here. So I'm just going to give my overall thoughts really quick of this episode. This is my favorite episode of the season. I'll preface it by saying that I love this episode. I think it's the shortest episode the Game of Thrones ever done. I think it clocks around 50 minutes or so. I think it's with credits though. And it is just fantastic. I love this episode, but let's get into it and break it down. So we start off the episode with Jaime and Bronn coming back from Highgarden. They've got the money there, and they're on the way back. They meet up with Randyll Tarly and his son Dickon, who Bronn again makes it very amusing. Like he's like everyone's inner monologue kind of thing. Like, it's kind of a funny name, and of course Bronn is the one to point that out. So good conversations there. They kind of discuss their allegiances and how they were with House Tyrell and everything like that, and how they've kind of had to go to the other side and all that stuff. And but basically, yeah, just kind of sets the tone and gets it into the tone of this episode, and it just moves forward at a rapid pace from here on out. Cut back to Cersei, and she's with the person from the Iron Bank, and basically says that, hey, I will support you as soon as the gold gets back. And Cersei basically says that she wants to like rule all of Westeros basically, and she kind of gets a good compliment from him and says like, hey, like, I know Tywin was driven and everything like that, but you're taking this to a next level stuff. And some good praise from him there. Although, like I said, I'm not a huge fan of Cersei at the moment. But then we go to Winterfell, and Littlefinger's there, kind of, I guess, trying to get in Bran's ear now. He's trying to get in every Stark's ear and just kind of toy with them a little bit, and basically gives his weird speech and says, like, hey, here's a dagger. This is the one that used to try to kill you at the very second episode, I think, of the whole series. And he's like, here's this is a gift for you. It's kind of a weird, morbid gift when you really think about it. This is a knife that tried to kill you. Here, you can have it. But Bran basically said, and he starts doing the weird speech of his little fingerness, and he says like, oh, and chaos, and then Bran kind of finishes the line, chaos is a ladder, and it's like, oh snap, like, how does he know these things? I don't know if Littlefinger knows the full extent of what Bran has become yet. Doesn't seem like he has, but it's funny how Littlefinger thinks that he knows everything. He knows everything that's going on, but really, Bran does know everything. He sees everything. He knows exactly when Littlefinger is bullshitting him and when he's lying. I think he knows quite a bit about the master plan and what Littlefinger has done this far in the series. Of course, after that, Mira walks in and Littlefinger leaves, and they get to have a conversation about, like, and Bran just says thank you, and you can tell Bran is not fully there anymore. He's kind of just this shell of a person, and he's not Bran Stark anymore. He's the three-eyed raven, and Mira's like, thank you, that's all I get is a thank you. Like, Jojen died for you, Hodor died, Summer died for you, and he basically comes to the conclusion that, like, Bran died in that cave, and, like, Bran is no more. It's now the three-eyed raven. There is no younger Stark siblings anymore. But speaking of Stark siblings, we get Arya coming back to Winterfell in one of the greatest scenes here of this episode. Comes in, those guards are not like, no, you're not Arya Stark. Arya Stark's dead. Get out of here. And like when they try to throw that punch at her and she just dodges it, she's like, hey, I'm getting in here one way or another. You can either tell her. It's like, hey, fine, wait right here. And they have this big argument. I'm like, these guys are frustrating me. Just go tell Sansa. Turns out Arya's like, I've had enough of this. And I was scared for a moment that Arya left Winterfell after seeing the Stark like banner. And she's like, maybe this isn't my home anymore. And she like left. I was fearing that moment. Turns out no, she goes down into the dungeons, wants to see her dad. Sansa knows where she'll be. They meet up down there, have this heartfelt reunion, kind of bond over having gone through so much in many different ways, and just how they've changed and all that. And Arya kind of says like, oh, I have this list or whatever. And again, Sansa's like, oh, that's kind of funny. You have a list of people you want to kill. Okay, sure. Of course, later on when they have that conversation, next scene with Bran, comes out that says like, no, she wanted to go to King's Landing and kill Cersei. So there's that. And during that conversation with Bran, they get a big hug or whatever, just because Arya still thinks it's her brother, and it is to an extent and everything like that. But yeah, Bran then gifts the dagger that he just got from Littlefinger, that Valyrian steel dagger, to Arya, and now she's got like a needle and a little dagger. It's pretty sweet. Arya, favorite character, love her. Then we quick scene of Pod and Brienne. Pod basically just mentions that, like, hey, you kept your vow. Bran, of course, replies like saying, I didn't really do anything. They just came here on their own. I didn't do much. But, Pod just being the nice guy that he is, just trying to give support for Brienne whenever possible. Then we cut to Dragonstone, and Dany and Missandei are having some girl talk about what exactly went down between Grey Worm and Missandei before he left on his mission. And says, like, hey, we haven't heard from him yet. We'll probably hear from him soon. Everything will be just smooth sailing. Everything will be A-okay. Of course, we know Not exactly the case. But Jon is down in the caves, finding dragon glass, and he basically brings Dany in and says, here's all the dragon glass. We get a new, like, I think it's a new musical score. I don't know if that's going to be like Dany and Jon's theme or what that is exactly. It sounded different to me. I didn't recognize it. But we get to see that whole thing go down, and Jon's like, that's not all I have to show you. There's all these, like, paintings and drawings of the children of the forest, and said that these guys work together with the humans to defeat a common enemy, the White Walkers. Of course, that's not exactly how it went down. Of course, we know from Bran's visions that the children of the forest ended up creating the White Walkers and everything like that, and they needed the humans' help basically to defeat them. And it's kind of like we need your help because we tried to kill man basically by stabbing you with dragon glass, creating White Walkers. So it's not exactly how it went down, Jon, but I see your argument there. Of course, Dany says she'll only support him if he bends the knee, and it looked like Jon was considering doing it. They walk out of the cave, but of course Dany gets the news from Casterly Rock that they got Casterly Rock, but they lost all their ships and their men, and they took Highgarden and everything like that, and things just did not go as planned. And she kind of blames Tyrion for it, and that was my big fear. It didn't go as bad as I thought it could have gone, so I'm thankful for that. But of course, and then asked Jon, which is really weird, like, what's your advice? And I thought Jon was going to, like, hey, you have to fight for your people and do things the right way, because Jon always is the one in the battle. He's the one calling the shots and everything like that. But Jon says, you can't go in there with Dragonfire. He wants to go into the Red Keep and just burn everything down. You can't do that. It'll look terrible. You're no better than the Mad King if you do that. And then another great scene at Winterfell. I think this paired with the ending were my favorite scenes. Was our Pod and Brienne were training. Arya's like, okay, I want to train. You can train me. And she's like, okay, fine, whatever. Let's do this. Sure, you beat the Hound, so that's why I want to be with you and train. So they starts training. She does her little water dancing, from that she learned, of course, at the beginning from Sir Farrell. And we get a great training fight sequence, and that was just awesome to see. Like Arya doing some like kick thing off her back when she gets up just by pushing off her back. Pretty sweet stuff there. Just the difference in style is so apparent, but they're both great in different ways. But I don't know, Arya is just my favorite character. Of course, Littlefinger and Sansa are up there just watching, and Sansa's like, holy crap, my sister can kick ass. And Littlefinger's got this weird smirk on his smile in his face, and I just don't know what he wants. Like, is he going to try and use Arya now? Like, I don't get it. I really do not get it. Then we get Jon and Davos talking with Missandei, and they basically just kind of talk about how Jon was a bastard, and how Missandei came over, and how Davos kind of implies that, like, hey, you're still working for somebody. It's kind of like slavery thing, but she's like, no, I'm choosing to do this. And then Davos sort of like jokes about, like, hey, I might join the other side and everything like that. And then we get Theon returning, and Jon sees him for one of their first interactions in quite some time. And Jon was like, I will kill you, but I won't, just because Sansa, you saved her, you helped her out. That's the only thing stopping me from killing you right now. And then he mentions, like, oh, where's Dany? And he's like, well, she's away. She's gone. And then we cut to back with Jaime and Bronn. And as soon as that cut happens, you're like, ah, shit. Shit is about to go down. They have this another conversation with Dickon and everything like that, and how he says, like, oh, human bodies, they smell. He's like, yeah. Bronn's like, yeah, they shit. That's why it smells. And then they hear the stampede of the Dothraki coming in. And this is where shit gets bananas. It goes crazy. The Dothraki are nuts. They're insane. They stand up on their horses and stuff. They're shooting arrows off their horses. It's crazy. They just go through that blockade that they set up with all the men from the Lannister army. And then Dany and Drogon come in, burning down the house. And this was insane. It was just chaos. And the thing that I love so much about it is that you're conflicted on who to root for. My support of Dany has definitely depleted over this season, just because she is going a little crazy and going off the walls a little bit. So part of me is like rooting. I feel bad for these men, kind of. It's weird. It's this weird dilemma that they've created, and it's so compelling because you don't know who to cheer for. Part of you likes Jaime. Everyone likes Bronn, I'd have to say. Like, Bronn's such a great character, so you don't know who to root for. But then Bronn goes over to find that crossbow. Jaime's like, I can't do it. I got one hand. We got to use this crossbow. And this is where, like, things get emotional almost. Like, Bronn fires that thing, nearly misses Dany and Drogon. Then he fires another one, hits it right in the shoulder, and I'm like, dragon's dead. This is awful. I don't want these dragons to die. And then crashes down. I'm like, oh, this is gonna go poorly. And then I'm like, oh no, don't burn Bronn though. I don't know what I want to happen. And it's I love this, but I hate this. And she misses Bronn, thankfully. And then Dany's got to pull the arrow out of Drogon. And Jaime goes charging after. Tyrion's there watching as well, seeing all these Lannister men, probably people he knew, die. family members, whatnot, friends. And he's like, don't do it, you idiot. And he starts charging after Danny. He's like, you fool, you dumbass, don't do this. And of course, he keeps going after Danny. And I'm like, Jamie's going to die. I didn't think Jamie would die at the hands of Drogon or Danny. I did not think this was going to happen at all. He's charging after her. And the last second, Drogon turns to him, about to light him up. And thankfully, he doesn't. I think that's Bronn comes in, saves him, floats into the water. I'm going to assume that they're alive at this moment. And then the episode ends. And I don't know if we're going to pick up right where that left off, because it seems like it has to almost. But it was crazy. It was just crazy to me to see. Like, I don't know who to root for. I don't want. Danny's kind of going crazy. I like Bronn and Jamie, but I still want her to. I like Tyrion, who's on that side, and it's just this giant conflict. I don't know what's going on. It's insane. I love this episode. Let me know your thoughts on this episode in the comment section below. Again, be sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel for more videos each and every week. I cannot wait for next week's episode. I cannot wait. The season's almost over, though. There's only like 3 episodes left. It's so short, but so great at the same time. Also, be sure to follow me on the new app called Stardust. It's not my name, Brad Thomas. Good early reactions to many things there, and so you'll want to check that out. So that's it, and I will talk to y'all later.